development of 3D software such as Blender is going pretty well, thanks also to the development fund. Now with the right tools it's no longer impossible to create something great in a short while. This project, for example, has been created in just 4 days. Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Pietro, and in this breakdown I'll be showing you how to create a medieval Quixel using Blender 2.9 and the Quixel Megascan companion app Quixel Bridge. Now let's get started. The very first step regards the creation of an interior, and the first step for the creation of an interior is the creation of the planimetry of the house, in this case the shape of the room. At the beginning I started with a rectangular shape. I created some window sills, the door and the chimney, and I used just primitive geometry such as cube and planes. Keeping going on, I decided to give an L shape to the room in order to create a sort of dynamism in the scene and to be able to place more stuff like wine barrels. Here I create another door. Once we have the base scene ready, we can start to search for props in Quixel Bridge, but before that we have to set up the software to be able to import those models in Blender. If this is the first time you heard about Quixel Bridge is a companion app from Quixel that helps us to export between softwares the Quixel props. To be able to export those models, materials and all this kind of stuff, we have to set up this software and set up Blender to be able to receive those models. So the first step is to download and install Quixel Bridge from the official website. Here you have to create a new account or sign in with your own, or with an Epic Games account. In this case, you'll be able to use all the assets props from Quixel for free, but you have to use those models in Unreal. Once you have downloaded and installed the software, and the procedure is really simple, as you can do with all the other software around the web like Blender. The first thing to do is to open Bridge and select one of the assets that you want to download. Here you go to Export Settings in the side panel and then set the application to Blender. Now we can click on Download Plugin, and once downloaded we can copy the script of the path of the file. Going back to Blender, we have to open the Preferences panel and go to Add-ons. Then click on Install and paste the path of the script. Now we have to select the Live Link plugin and click on Install the add-on from File. And once done, we have to enable it clicking the little square near to the plugin name. Last but not least, we have to save the preferences to avoid to repeat this process anytime we create a new project. Now the plugin is installed and enabled, so the only thing we have to do when we want to import props from Bridge is to activate the plugin for the current session. To do that we have to go in Import and click on Megascan Live Link. Right now we are able to export models from Bridge, but before to start to export millions and millions of assets, we have to set the quality of the props. All the assets of the Quixel library have been captured with the photogrammetry technique. This means that every model is really detailed, realistic and at the same time really heavy to manage in the highest version. Fortunately, Quixel provides us all the models optimized with different levels of details in terms of polygons and textures resolution. For this reason, before to start to export models, materials and anything else, we need to set the right quality to work without stress and without stress or workstation. The number of polygons and the texture quality is related to our PC specs. Since I can provide a value for every kind of existing workstation, I'm gonna share with you the values that I found works best with most computers. For the load resolution, in other words, the number of polygons, these are a model that has been optimized and there are different level of detail and in relation to the number of polygons. I suggest you to select the loads 4 or 5 of the list. While for the quality of the texture, I suggest you to use the 2K resolution. Here you can also set the type of texture that you want to download, so albedo, diffuse, metallic, roundness, and all this kind. And something really useful is that you can select in relation to the software where you are gonna export the assets, so the best for your software. At this point we can start to download and export all the assets that we want to place in the scene. In this particular part of the process it is really important to have some references to follow in order to create a realistic scene. Since my purpose was to create something realistic also from an historical point of view, what I did was to search for references on the internet, but since there are no photographs in the Middle Age, the best solution was to search for paintings of the medieval era. Fortunately, I found also some remains of medieval kitchens with the original tools of the era. In relation to these references and other historical sources, I downloaded and exported different kinds of vegetables, fruits, wooden bottles, barrels, tables, spoons, stones, bread, wooden planks and some other medieval tools to fill the scene in the best way possible and bring it to life. This part of the process you have to unleash your creativity and the interior design part. We have a kitchen to fill and with all these props the only obstacles is our laziness. There is no much to explain, just follow your references, and the only thing I did here was to select props imported and duplicate them. So Shift D for duplicate something and S for scale something and G to move something in the 3D space. Once we completed the interior design part, it's time to set up the materials of the room, the walls, the floor tiles, the chimney and the other things we created in the beginning part. In this phase we have to decide which process to use, and basically there are three main ways to do that. The first method is the creation of the materials procedurally, so basically it's the same process to use to create textures in Substance Designer and use noises, patterns and filters and mix it together to generate any kind of material. It's a really fun process but requires a lot of time to do it properly. The second method is to use your own library of textures or download some texture from sites like Texture Even that offer great high quality texture for free, and then you have to import them in Blender using the Wrangler add-on, and you have done in a few steps. The third method is the use of scanned materials, so ultra realistic and really existing material from the real world. Those materials has been scanned as for the 3D models using the same process, and you can find them in Quixel bridge. Basically, you have to download the material you want to export and export them in your software. It's the same process we did for the models, and you have to do it for the material, basically. Once you have all the materials ready, the only thing you have to do is to wrap the models. The easy way to do it is to select the asset that you want to wrap and search for Smart UV project. It's not the best way to do it, it's the speed way to do it. So just make sure to scale and place the UVs in the right place in order to look great, and as you can see, the result is not the worst. At this point, you may think the project is ready, but placing some lights I understood that this was not enough. One important thing was missing, the chandelier, so since it's not available on Bridge, we have to create it from scratch. So with our concept and references we can draw a simple one and start the modeling process. During the Middle Age, the chandelier was not complete. In fact, the first chandelier was created during the medieval era and were composed by two wooden planks used as candle holders. For this project, I decided to make it a bit more complex, like the one used during the latest era of the Middle Age. So I created a simple iron hoop with 8 arms, candle holders, shaped by a circle hang on iron chains that have been modeled starting from materials. The process is always the same, so add a circle and go in edit mode, press the E key to extrude the selection and give a simple shape to the part of the chandelier. For the chain, as I said before, I used some torus and I placed one above another and I created a simple chain. While for the candles you can start from a cylinder as we did before, or you can use some candles from Bridge, realistic and materials ready. For the material of the chandelier I used a dark brown iron, while for the candles I just increased the subsurface value in order to give a better interaction of the material of the candle with the lights. In order to complete the chandelier, we have just to light the candles, and to do it, the easy and less performance consuming method is to use some alpha images. So, to do it, we have to import an alpha image of a flame. You can find many of them on the internet. Once you downloaded the flame in PNG with the alpha channel, you have to import the image with the function import image as plane, and then select the image you want to import. This is the really simple way to do this kind of thing, and this process is even used to add some decal on walls, so damages, cracks and other elements that give this sort of imperfections on the structure, since in the real world there is anything perfect, and when you add some imperfections in your 3D project, the project became much more real than before. Before to go over with the other step, in the material of the flame we have to change something. In fact, when you import image as plane, the image is not emissive, and since the flame should be emissive, we have to change this little thing. So basically we have to switch the diffuse channel of the material and select the emission channel of the principal based node. Now the environment is almost done, so in this step we are gonna place the lights and the Hdri map of the scene. For this medieval kitchen, I decided to use a few lights, since my main goal is to create a realistic light. During the Middle Age, the lighting of the interior was really low. For this reason, in order to create something realistic, I'm gonna use few lights. In particular, I'm gonna use 1-point light for every single candle of the environment. So 8 for the chandelier and some other candles that I have in the interiors, and then I will use bigger points light for the chimney, for the fireplace, and a sunlight for the exterior lighting. Regarding the Hdri map, I'm gonna use a sunset that I found on Hdri Heaven, a really great website that offers Hdri for free, and this with Texture Heaven are two great websites. I will leave the link in the description so you can take a look, download the stuff you need, and if you want you can support their job with a donation. Right now you may ask, why are you using the Hdri map while in Blender, in the Blender 2.9 there is the Nishita sky texture? The reason is really simple. The Nishita sky texture can be used only with cycle. I did some tests, it's really great, really useful, but in this case, since I'm gonna render a full video animation, the best way to do it using Ivy was to use the Hdri map. And for this reason, this video has been created, and I rendered this video with Ivy. And the reason why I talked about the render engine is that in this final step I'm gonna show you the things that you have to enable to achieve a better result in render with the real-time render engine Ivy. This render engine is really great, it's one of the top features that comes with Blender 2.8, and here in Blender 2.9 is even better than before. But unfortunately, the lighting and the shadows are less perfect than cycle. So for this reason, this final step, I'm gonna show you the 3 things that you need to enable to achieve a better result while rendering with Eevee. So the 3 things we have to enable are the Ambient Occlusion, the Bloom, and the Screen Space Reflection. Basically, all the default values are great, but my suggestion is to increase the distance of the ambient occlusion in order to improve the effect in relation to the other props of the kitchen. Then, if you want, you can also increase the intensity of the bloom, and if needed you can decrease the render samples, since these 3 elements will increase the render time, but the result is so much better. And that's all, everybody. The only thing you have to do right now is to press F12 and wait for the render, while the other things are already done. And yeah, if you followed all this step and you have a bit of knowledge of Blender and the 3D world, you can follow this tutorial without any problem, and you may achieve a great result. Of course, if you have some questions, you can find me everywhere in my social network, and I'm always available, so just send me a message. While if you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate if you hitting the subscribe button and the bell, because I make a lot of these videos and you really don't want to miss one of them. I had lots of fun projects planned for the rest of this year, and I hope you can join for those cool projects. Thank you so much for watching, and see you soon.